Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC as we're gearing up for KOI versus Fnatic. Now, before we get into the analysis, we wanted to acknowledge the extended transition times that we've had during the games this weekend. Now, behind the scenes, we've been experiencing peripheral issues relating to a specific model's firmware that is commonly used by our pro players. Unfortunately, we have not been able to find a permanent fix for this firmware, and we need to employ a number of temporary measures as we explore more permanent fixes. We understand and share your frustration, and we're working behind the scenes of each game to get this settled.
Yeah, I think it's just everyone's kind of frustrated. We're frustrated. We want to get the game started as well. And a lot of people keep adding me saying, you know, Pedro, start the game. Guys, I can't do it. I'm trying my best.
We try. We have to like get him away from like going into the game as well.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. That's not happening.
I try to sneak back in there to be a pro again.
Absolutely. But we do have a super exciting game on the docket in front of us, Fnatic versus KOI, for different reasons for both of these teams. First up, Fnatic, 0-2 so far in this. I was going to say super week, but every week's a super week nowadays. From going to a hotly contested game versus Vitality that slipped away from them versus collapsing, to collapsing versus G2, rather, it's not been a good look.
It's not. Definitely not from Fnatic. I think a lot more expectations came in from this team in general, but it's not necessarily because they can't get anything rolling. We've seen them being able to do it. We've seen positive things come out from them, specifically in the first game against Vitality, where, well, they throw at the Baron. And let's be real, the G2 game, I don't see a real takeaway from it. That is the kind of game where you have it in scrim and you just go next. Like, you just remake it as soon as possible.
Yeah, but I don't think that's an excuse, though. If it, like,
of course not. It's more like making a measurement of that game alone.
Yeah, I think my read on Fnatic is if you go back to Worlds last year, when Rhuckz played those two games and won, he played Leona both those games. And agency, for me, was the key word. Him and Razork playing Poppy Leona, whatever it may be, just running around the map. Fnatic historically has never been a slow team. It's never been a team where they pick scaling and sit back. Ever since the Bwipo days, the Hilly days, whatever roster it is, they always like to make things happen. And I think this is another roster where they want to make things happen. If they're playing Zeri, Yuumi, there's really nothing they can do in the early stages. You look to Razork, who's playing Sejuani, Azir, mid-jungle. There's no agency really there until post-level 6, and even then you're double AP, right? So I want to see things like the Kindred Rakan. I want to see things that, like a Wukong with a Leona next to him. Something where you can actually start going in, buying space for Rekkles and Humanoid, and then you can start pushing your advantage.
When we look at their schedule, Vitality, G2, now KOI, then in week 2, BDS, XL, Team Heretic. So you could say that that is, of course, a different caliber of teams going into it, but still, you don't want to go into that 0-3. I want to bring, yes?
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Like, we compare them like, oh, Fnatic's schedule, it's so rough. They have to go against all these top teams. Well, it is not. Is Fnatic not supposed to be a top team as well,
exactly.
Right?
It's supposed to be a top team.
Despite you going 0-3, I feel like it's copium saying like, oh, look at our schedule. Of course, we want them to pick it up against the others, but I think expectations are that Fnatic wants to be a top team.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you might think, oh, we're being super harsh on them, but you've heard it, I know, too many times, but they don't have a lot of time. That's just a fact of the matter. Something you guys brought up in ReadyCheck also makes a lot of sense in terms of bot lane, right? New synergies are being figured out here, but that was such a win condition for them, right? So right now you then need other things to go right for you if you want to get those wins.
I mean, if you look back to the summer split like we talked about in ReadyCheck, it was Upset and Hylissang who basically carried them across the finish line with Zeri, Yuumi, ironically, in the last 3 games of the split into the Super Week, because there was a situation where they weren't making playoffs. They helped them get through, and then they went all the way to the semifinals where they dropped to Rogue, now KOI, right? So it's a rematch of the summer semifinals, and I think that looking at the bot lane specifically on the other side, Trymbi to me has been such a standout over the last couple of years with picking out all these crazy picks. He's grown into a player where we saw him quite nervous next to Hans Sama all those years ago. He's grown into a leader, I think, and someone who's so flexible in draft, and you can see the picks here.
Yeah, it's just a contrast as well from the bot lane of Fnatic that just haven't worked just yet to the contrast of KOI, who has come out with, you know, signature picks now with the Kalista Soraka that they brought in last year from playoffs, but also the Ashe and Ezreal. It's the flexibility that we've come to expect from the KOI bot lane as well, and it's just the pressure point that you're gonna have to deal with it, because Trymbi and Comp is one of the best bot laners in the league, if not the best bot lane as well, maybe rivaled by Hansama and Mickey at the moment.
Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, you can't really doubt Comp and Trymbi. They were just such standouts in the finals, specifically with things like the Kalista Soraka. They were the ones who were meta-defining in those series where teams like Fnatic and G2 couldn't find an answer. And I think KOI still have a lot of their strengths from last year. You know, Malrang still doing crazy Malrang things, Larssen still being really safe and showing up in team fights, and their bot lanes just pulling out weird and wonderful picks. Even 2v2 killing as Kalista Soraka against Lucian Nami, which is the strongest bot lane on the patch right now, and just getting leads there. So Szygenda slotting in quite nicely. Their game was quite messy yesterday in terms of closing it out. But I think with the Cassian pick, I didn't really like it much in their their draft. It didn't fit very well. They had to give up so much space to excel and wait so long. And I don't think that's something KOI want to do this game.
No, I don't think that's something we're going to see either. But they have hit the ground running. Holistically, if we look at how they've done in a 2-0 very cleanly, and they were always the regular season kings, right? So
they've dominated every regular season. I think they're probably first or second in almost every split, always getting through to that upper bracket when it comes to the playoffs. But we're about ready to get into the game.
well then, at least a little bit of spice in the walk-ins.
We've had one
Szygenda.
person now, Szygenda.
Szygenda yesterday where he just turns his back to the camera.
Yeah. And we need more spice in the walk-ins. You know, in the LPL, they're really giving it some. You know, they come out as 5, they don't even go to their chairs. They just stand there looking at the opposition.
It needs some work, I think.
Yeah,
but we're going to do picks and bans here at the Analyst desk, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, we talked about the bot lane, especially in this pre-game segment. And I think going into the draft as well, it's going to be really curious to see where Fnatic will throw their bans. Because yesterday, when they played against G2, they threw away 3 bot lane bans. They first picked the Yuumi, and instantly the Draven came out and just destroyed it from them. So I'm curious to see where they're going to apply that pressure in the first phase of draft again.
And I feel like Rekkles has been leaning more in the last few years to things like Senna, Tristana, Sivir. This has kind of been his bread and butter. Varus now, and Ashe. I haven't seen him, you know, like the old days of Rekkles, where he would be willing to play things like Lucian and Caitlyn, these aggressive lanes to try to start pushing advantages. I would love to see that from Rekkles, especially in this style of Fnatic, where I think that Wunder has always been the, I won't really carry the game for you, but I can negate the enemy top laner's pressure, I can nullify him.
Yeah, especially
I'm so flexible. And Fnatic's bot lane was their carry last year, so I'd love to see the big step up of just trying to punish the enemy bot lane. I don't think we'll go into the realm of Kalista Draven, but anything that can get the push.
I mean, apparently it does work well, so
yeah,
it's been very successful.
It has been. So anything that can get the push is where I'm looking at. But a lot of champions up right now. We've got Ryze, we've got Maokai, we've still got things like the Zeri that could pair with the Lulu. We'll see what direction KOI wants to go with the first pick.
No downward though.
But I feel like already you can see the bot lanes getting trimmed out. Varus already off the table. Yuumi off the table now as well. The Lucian Nami bot lane. So the further we get into this, the Zeri just takes that higher priority. And especially now with Caitlyn off the table too. Feels like the bot lane is just getting too narrow with all the bans coming through.
Yeah, Ashe, Zeri near the top. Ryze, of course, just mentioned it as probably one of the strongest mid laners on the patch ever since the Seraphs and Archangels change. Him and Kassadin have been so strong. Maokai is up here. I think that would be a steal for Razork if he wants to go for that. Malrang will probably go towards something like the Sejuani, you have to imagine, or the Vi with Ryze can work really well. There's the Ashe Maokai. Curious what KOI's bot lane is going to be now that Ashe taken away. Do you just go for Zeri Lulu and just say, you know what? We can't really sacrifice going to 4-5, or do you go for something like the jungle?
Yeah, it feels awkward at the beginning just due to the slows of the auto attacks on Ashe, but your scaling is just absolutely insane. Wow. And KOI, we've seen them also just go back to the Ashe role, play that weak side, play up towards the top side, and now seeing Malrang on the Sejuani again, Szygenda on a carry champion like the Jax. Last time this happened, Malrang was up in that top side by level 2.
Yeah, I love this from KOI. They know the bot lane is going to be a bad matchup anyway, just go all in on top side. I think something like Gragas here could work for Wunder. If he wants to try to play carry into carry, Fiora is an option. Rhuckz is an option. We see that in the LPL. That's normally what they pick into Jax. Jayce is a great pick into Jax. Every time he jumps in with the leap strike, you can knock him away with the hammer. Let's see how Wunder executes on this Jayce. We'll need a little bit of resources, but we were talking about a carry for Fnatic, and there's one locked in already. Need to make sure they can get a good mid laner to help the Roman start shutting down this Ryze, because if Larssen can get the top and he falls behind against the Jax Sejuani, it'll be a disaster.
Yeah, for sure. Now it just means you can continue trimming down that bot lane conversation if you want to get rid of the Ashe role for comp that he so wanted. You can already see that they want to play lower resources here as well. On the side of Fnatic as well, of course, they are, or on the side of KOI rather, they are potentially looking to trim away that support pool, trim away that mid lane pool as well. But crucial to remember, Jayce can still go anywhere, Maokai can still be flexed into support as well, so still open options too.
Yeah, I think what I'd be scared of here is some kind of Kalista lane perhaps. I mean, it's not great into Ashe, but if they want to play something like Ashe Karma on 4, which wouldn't surprise me too much, then I think an all-in lane would be great. Any melee support support with Sejuani is just working fantastically. Of course, they can always counterpick support, but I think the only real value you can get out of counterpick support in this draft is like a Tahm Kench on 5 if they do go for that melee support. So we'll see which direction they go in. Syndra is still up, which I think could be a good pick into KOI's champions. Anything, you know, 2 champions dashing in, Ryze short range, start to poke them down. But we'll see what direction they go in. Ashe Karma could work. Leave support and counter with something like Tahm. Fnatic have options, just down to what KOI has as a bot lane blind pick. Last ban is going to be a mid laner. I think in this case, so Orianna. I mean, Humanoid's bread and butter. I mean, what was Humanoid known for in the last 2 years? Orianna and Akali.
Yeah.
That was his,
Orianna.
yeah, his favorite champions. Now, this is where the draft will just be the telling signs of what's to come.
Yeah, but I feel like you just slap that Syndra here, like that control mage in the mid lane, set up a good composition. You already have the Maokai, you got good range to play around with the Ashe already, with the Jayce too. But Gragas actually coming through here, already telling us, we said earlier, that well, that Jayce already was a flex pick, could go up towards the top side, could go into the mid lane, and the same with Gragas support
I'm
too.
angry I didn't say it because I thought it.
You thought about it, did you?
Yeah, I
you
was
should
like,
have said it.
Yeah, I know.
Is it a yeah? It could be a Jayce mid. It could be a Gragas support.
maybe.
I think it's more likely something like a Jayce mid. But we'll wait for now.
You thinking even Gragas support? Probably Wunder, right?
Yeah, it could also be Gragas support. Normally you see things like Gragas support into Alistar, you know, just to stop the combo, but that's really the only matchup. I mean, unless it's with a Yasuo already carry, it's a bit difficult to just pull off. We'll see. Could also be Ashe support here, and they pick an AD carry on 5 and put the Gragas top, Jayce mid, right? There's a lot of options here for Fnatic. There's the Jhin. For KOI, I think a melee support here would pair well. Something like Leona. Rakan seems pretty difficult against Maokai Gragas. Karma works to deny it from the Ashe Karma. That was more of a denial pick. So Fnatic must have something prepared if they were going to be willing to give this Karma over.
At least a curveball. I love it.
Okay, Rakan.
It is going to be Rakan.
Interesting. I think that Rakan pick is actually going to struggle against Maokai Gragas, the lockdown, but they did need some form of engage. It was either denial or engage. And now Fnatic will tell us exactly where everything's going. They have 3-way flexes on certain champions.
Yeah, it's one of those positions with Rakan where if you want straight at them, you're just going to get rooted down immediately by CC. You have to be creative about your pathing. I mean, luckily for Trymbi, it is one of his signature picks as well, going from that side. And speaking of signature picks, you highlighted earlier as well, Kajal. Yeah. Rekkles on the Sivir, Rhuckz now taking the Ashe support for himself, and the composition is finally starting to complete itself for Fnatic here.
And do you like it, the completed one?
I actually need to take it in a little bit. I wasn't sure where these champions were going before the full draft is coming through, so...
Kajal?
Okay, so my take here is Jayce has a lot of pokes, Sivir can poke and so can Ashe, so their siege is good, but I worry if their AP damage. I wonder if Razork is going to go first strike the Monarch Embrace Liandry's Maokai to make sure that they have some AP damage. Maybe Wunder's going to go more in the AP realm, but I think they have really good siege. The only thing I'm lacking here is...
This is a Humanoid's first time on Jayce, by the way.
Yeah, their backline is just really easy to dive onto. If Rakan can get onto that immobile Sivir and Ashe, I think they're going to struggle a lot. But their range is good. I just think KOI's engage is also very good.
But I think the engage is also very conditional. It allows you to play around. It's not completely doomed. You still have the spell shield on the Sivir as well, and you got the range to play around with. So I think it's super doable for Fnatic at the same time as well. Good disengage if they need it as well from the Gragas world, from the Maokai world as well.
Yep,
it's doable, but KOI has been looking pretty good, and they've got some really strong picks.
It's been a long time since we've seen something like Jayce mid. We'll see what it can do into the Ryze. I mean, I think of Perks with Ivern, G2 with MSI, you know, against FLICKR against the Ryze. That's the last time I can think of that matchup in my head. Did go slightly Jayce favorite. We'll see how Perks can... Humanoid can shut down Larssen.
Humanoid can shut it down. Indeed. We'll see indeed. As said again, super important win needed for Fnatic as we get into this game.
Let's get into the action. KOI versus Fnatic. KOI currently 2-0, Fnatic 0-2. Those scores at the top are incorrect. Hey, I'm Medic, that's Vedi. Been here for a game already. Trymbi jumping across here. Humanoid spots him. He's like, okay, we're not going to be able to do anything sneaky here. As they did look to see perhaps if they could get an invade off early. Vedi, I'm going to test you on some stats. We love stats here in the LEC. What do you think Rekkles' all-time Sivir win rate is?
64%.
Oh! 62.3%. That's very close. How many games do you think he's played?
47.
77. Oh. He's 48 and 29 on the champ across the course of his career, and we'll see if he can add another win to that column in this game. I do think I agree with Kadril that although Fnatic have some avenues, their backline's pretty squishy here, quite easy to be targeted. And you were mentioning that you think perhaps Wunder will go full AP Gragas here, but we will say Razork has the first strike and has the red Pokemon, the Charmander, so he's likely to go at least for Demonic Embrace. I have been seeing Demonic Embrace into Radiant Virtue. You can go Demonic Embrace into that Leandries and be full squishy, full dive bomb Maokai. Just timber your opponents.
Well, that's still a ways away. My main concern for Fnatic is this side lane threat that I think KOI does have. Already a bit of trading down towards the bot side of the map. Kind of as we expect. Oh, the heal gets popped. Rekkles and Rhuckz.
How'd you get away? How'd you get away from an Ashe slowing you, from a Hail of Blades as well? That's good trading from Rhuckz and Rekkles down towards that bottom side. A lot of people look at Ashe as this W spammer, because that's what she is in ARAM, and when you build the Imperial Mandate, she's not that in lane. What you want to do is get the Hail of Blades and get the auto attacks down. It's all about the auto attacks. Who gives a monkeys about your 26-second cooldown W at level 1? Just get those autos in, and that's exactly what Rhuckz did there. Approach velocity for him as well, meaning that he gets that chase potential in that bot lane.
There is the real risk of a dive here. They're going to get information as to where the Sejuani is. One, they're going to prop the phase rush and get away to safety, but you can see the priorities of both junglers here as Malrang pathing up towards the top side of the map, looking to try and get Szygenda in a strong position with the Jax. And we talked about this powerful side lane threat. Wouldn't be surprised to see Larssen, once he gets level 6, start threatening those roams, those dives, especially when Wunder is known for going that typical AP. Does make it a little bit easier to dive, but in the same vein, Wunder known for outplaying those dives, of course. He's no stranger to being focused in a game, but it definitely looks like in terms of early priority, this bot side will be a focus. And you've just pointed out to me that Malrang is actually making his way back towards bots. Remember that the Ashe Hawkshot did come out to get information, and Fnatic expect Malrang to be pathing towards the top side right now.
Malrang always finds a way to gank, and that's exactly what he's doing here. Rekkles and Rhuckz did have the push in here. Pomp looking for the chase, Malrang going in as well. Flash away, but the Arctic Assault is still there. Rhuckz locked up. One more auto is enough to stun him, and Malrang claims Burst Blood. Razork a little late to the party because does have the flash. Trymbi has none of his own. They can look for the chase here onto Comp as well. Flash onto Trymbi. He will fall, and now Rekkles and Razork looking to trade back on this one. Comp's going to get the root down onto the Maokai, but that tree is well used to roots, and he just leaves.
Ends up being an overall even trade. The supports end up losing their lives. And it ends up being a pretty even trade of summoners as well. You can see here, again, Fnatic completely unaware, not really expecting this. The moment that they see Comp and Trymbi looking for an all-in, they realize what's happened. Rekkles invests the Ghost very early. They're expecting the flash to come out from Rhuckz. He does his best to sidestep there, buys as much time as he possibly can for the Maokai to show up, and this is where Razork, being level 4, knows that he can secure a kill here. Rekkles doing what he can to get as much damage down as possible. Has the vision, flash in, root, doesn't give the Rakan an opportunity to get away. And you can see with the Ignite down, KOI is sitting there thinking, hey, maybe we can actually get a kill back here, but Rekkles' position made it a little bit more awkward, so it ends up just being a trade of kills. Overall, not too bad for either side, really. It does alleviate some of that pressure from Comp and Trymbi, who were struggling in the straight-up 2 versus 2, but Rekkles and Rhuckz still able to trade something back even after that early aggression from KOI.
Razork also deciding not to base after getting that kill down towards the bottom side. He's been powering through his jungle. Malrang went back and got the Ionian Boots of Lucidity. Extra ability haste for him means that those ganks will be a little bit more effective as the game goes on. For the moment, though, Fnatic should be pretty happy with this start. They haven't given 2 kills over to a Draven, which means it's going better than it was 24 hours ago.
Case. See Wunder and Szygenda trading a little bit. The wave, if we can have a look at it, observers, you can see how it's a little bit awkward right now for Wunder, but he's not too concerned. He's going to be able to go back to base, TP back in. Actually sticking around right now. What's his plan here? Is he looking to interrupt? Yes, he is. Yeah, actually, with this health advantage that he has, he can actually look to try and push this underneath the tower. Maybe he doesn't have to expend the TP at all. I don't think it's really worth holding the TP, given the TP changes. You know, you may as well just invest it early, make sure you can get back into lane. Given that Szygenda's already TP back into lane, the more damage Wunder can do, the better.
Yeah.
Because, of course, he's going to go back and he's going to replenish everything. Whereas Szygenda, if he wants to try and get that same reset, it's going to be much harder. So there's a lot of mind games going on right now. Wunder wants to try and get the most optimal back that he can while also making life difficult for Szygenda. Nice little trade there from Wunder. Gets the belly bop, gets out of range of the stun. But he's got to be cautious of a potential gank. If we kind of highlight the vision, we can see so much more investment on top side of KOI. Trymbi looking for something. Ooh, nice side steps there from Rhuckz.
Really nicely done. It dances down from the knock-up then to the side. away from the route from Comp means that he's able to escape. I believe Malrang was spotted as he went into the river earlier, pinged out a couple of times. And Wunder obviously had to be careful earlier on because Malrang could have been on the top side of the map for a gank. For now, though, they know he's down towards this bottom lane. And Wunder will just be able to back TP back into the lane. Now has double amp tomes and a mana crystal, holding the wave, waiting for his minions to get there so he can freeze it. Makes it a little bit trickier for Szygenda, but Szygenda has, you know, a slight CS lead. With actually a reset coming out from Trymbi, he knows that they want to try and break this freeze up towards the top side, so Trimby's going to work his way all the way to the top side as the wave pushes in bot. Comp can just catch that. Not too much of a tricky situation for Comp, and he can make sure that his top lane isn't denied too much CS.
Viewers at home will likely notice as well, Wunder's trying to thin this wave out a little bit, because on your minimap you'll see Larssen keep moving into the fog of war. He'll do this thing where he'll push the wave, and then he'll just move into that top river brush, and Wunder always has to be cautious and scared, like we're going to see it right now. Keep our eyes... Oh, hang on. A bit of a skirmish down on the bot side of the map. But what you're going to see is Larssen push this in and then constantly move into Fog of War. Right now, his goal is to keep Humanoid underneath this tower so that he can look to rotate towards the bot side, as Malrang is in a bit of a skirmish right now. But with the arrival of Rhuckz and Rekkles, it's not going to result in much.
Knock back. Wunder looking for this, but Trymbi's there waiting, snuck into the bush, and Trymbi there in time once again. Flash forward from Szygenda is enough for the kill for the top lane.
Catches Wunder completely off guard. He thinks that there's a clean kill there onto Szygenda, and then Trymbi is able to punish him, able to sneak his way into the top side. No TP on Wunder, means he's going to lose this whole wave, and it definitely sucks to see for Wunder. Not the worst position overall for Fnatic, but for KOI, really sets up those side laners for success as we move later into the game.
And once again, just really good moves from Trymbi. He spent a long time sneaking into this top bush to make sure he wasn't spotted. They saw that Wunder had invested a lot of his health bar in trying to freeze the lane, and as soon as Wunder looks for this fight, Trymbi's ready.
If Szygenda had actually gone a slightly different direction, gone closer to Wunder, there was a world where he may have been able to get that kill off, but with Trymbi always being in the vicinity, it was going to be difficult. And Wunder, you know, he was so cautious. He was keeping his eye on that mid lane, specifically worried about what Larssen might be doing with that ultimate. But it was Trymbi that actually catches him off guard, and Fnatic can't punish on the bot side of the map either. Now Rhuckz has come up to assist with the Herald. The wave has been pushed underneath Szygenda's tower, so he should be forced to catch that, with Wunder offering assistance. And Rekkles now making his way up towards mid as well, but Malrang likely to contest.
It's a tad risky because Trymbi has hit level 6. The Rift Herald will go down. You can see KOI trying to fight around it. Trymbi's now in the mid lane, has that quickness if they want to go in. Rift Herald has been secured by Fnatic, and Malrang will be spotted. He steps forward. Trymbi can come in with a quickness here as well. The flash away, the Glacial Prism. There's the Realm Warp as well, and that's 2 quick catches for KOI. 1 down, 2 down. Timber goes the tree, and KOI go 4-1 up.
A clean collapse from KOI as they're able to split up Fnatic, and they're looking for more. They have their eyes on Wunder. They know he has no flash, and the wave is stacking up. But again, look at mid. Larssen is keeping Humanoid underneath his tower. There is no safety coming to help Wunder.
And the map movements from KOI just make it impossible for Fnatic to react effectively. Huge gold lead now for Szygenda in the top lane. It's going to be his 3rd plate. The Demolish proc will come through. He is about 1,500 or 1,200 gold ahead, and it's just step after step by KOI.
You have to feel like that the morale is hitting Fnatic hard right now. This play was absolutely massive for KOI. You can see how Humanoid and Rekkles, they don't really feel like they can offer much in this situation. Comp's still able to get involved with the fight thanks to his ultimate. Larssen creating the flank, and then Larssen and Malrang with a very quick and clean engage. Trymbi really just making the smart choice of not trying to play for the 2v2 in bot lane, instead getting out on the map and leveraging Rakan's engage and pick potential. They have their eyes on Wunder once again.
Wunder trying to defend underneath this tower, perhaps thinking he could do something, puts the barrel down, but Malrang and Szygenda are on the chase. No mana for the Jax, but he doesn't need it. He doesn't even need a real weapon. Malrang will take the kill. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Fnatic looking to do something with this Rift Herald. They've taken 2 plates off this tower. Just about now, the Rift Herald will only get them about 1.5 plates, so it is gold infused into Rekkles' pockets, but a very diluted infusion, it feels.
We're looking at the gold difference, and if you look at the bottom of your screen, while it is Malrang that has all the kills, the gold difference is sitting on Szygenda. Setting up this Jax is going to be very difficult for Fnatic to deal with, because who do you match into him, right? Maybe Humanoid can hold him, but Wunder going for more of the AP build is going to be far too squishy, and this Jax is only going to get stronger as the game continues. KOI putting themselves in a commanding position as Fnatic look to try and get something back on the map.
And a bit of a change of pace for KOI as well. Up until this time, up until this game, this weekend, they've been very good at getting gold leads, but they haven't really relied on kills to do it. They've got 4 kills, 2 deaths across 2 games. This game, 6 kills by the 11-minute mark and a substantial sum of gold to the good as well, around 3,000. Fnatic obviously have been struggling so far this weekend, but KOI have really put them on the ropes this game.
It's not been an easy schedule for Fnatic, having to go up against the new and improved Vitality, along with G2 and KOI, arguably the 2 strongest teams in the league. But I think it's fair for fans' expectations to be high when we look at Fnatic from last year. Just with the addition of Humanoid and Wunder, those 2 individuals alone were giving Fnatic a lot of power, as Razork kind of found his identity and found his place in the team. It felt like the Fnatic was only going from strength to strength, considering how powerful their bot lane was. And by replacing their bot lane, expectations were like, well, Fnatic, you have to have a valid reason to get rid of Upset and Hylissang as a duo. And I think that fans are definitely throwing out question marks right now. Of course, still only the first week, but starting off 0-3 is definitely going to hurt the morale of Fnatic. Let's see if they can bounce back. Of course, scaling is always something that you could rely on when it comes to Rekkles and Sivir. He is one of the people that gave birth to the 500 CS Sivir meme, after all. Of course, that will mean that they'll have to slow down the powerhouse that is KOI, the reigning LEC champion.
And it becomes more difficult to slow it down now that top lane's opened up as well. Szygenda has the freedom to walk up towards that second tower. You can get vision in Fnatic's red side jungle. You can move him around the map as well, especially with that Realm Warp. You have the ability to close in very quickly with the entirety of the KOI lineup. You can see Fnatic trying to do that towards this bottom lane. Razork chucking the saplings in, checking for any vision from KOI. Now, Comp and Trymbi are trying to defend this. Larssen has just backed. There's double TPs available for KOI, but we're not past 14 minutes, so they're not those enhanced TPs. The tower should be the first target here for Fnatic. They'll be able to take it down. Comp is able to escape the tower, all that they can get so far. Long-range arrow's gonna go in as Malrang starts to go low, and he will be felled by Fnatic. The shutdown going over to Humanoid as he looks for one more. The curtains open, and the encore from Comp is enough. Humanoid able to flash it, though, as Wunder goes low. Realm Warp now joining the fray. You can see Larssen trying to find the flank position. A good couple of spell fluxes here would do a lot of work, but Fnatic actually able to get the tower and get out with a kill.
Okay, so really the most proactive play that Fnatic can make in this situation. They did lose a bit of farm up towards the top side of the map, but Wunder staying isolated in that 1v1 wasn't really going to do Fnatic any favors. Instead, this is Fnatic trying to get something back, trying to force a play, and getting a shutdown onto Humanoid, definitely a positive for Fnatic.
They also got Realm Warp and double TPs out of KOI, so over the next few minutes, Fnatic have a window to play around the fact that they have this teleport advantage. So let's have another look at it as Fnatic set up with all 5 players in this bottom lane.
Looks a little dangerous initially as Wunder does get knocked up, and he is of course pretty squishy, but the chains you see coming out from Fnatic. The team fighting prowess is very real if they can play this front-to-back style. You can see how much utility they actually have and how much damage that they can do. Trymbi with a 2-man charm looks good initially, but it's not enough to provide peel for Malrang to get away to safety. Humanoid, you'd think that he'd be dead at this point. Very cleverly, though, uses the hammer to create a little bit of space, and then the flash with Wunder body blocking means that Fnatic can get to safety. And the poke coming out from Humanoid as well means that Fnatic can get away unscathed.
Also, the slow from the sapling there means that Larssen wasn't able to really chase into the fight. As much as Trymbi is very charming, if people are already in their animations, you can't charm them out of them, which is what we saw down towards that bottom lane. Humanoid already in, the hammer down. Now Fnatic looking for their second herald of the game. Last time they got it, and then they lost the fight afterwards, and began KOI's march towards a possible victory. And now Fnatic are going to start it again. Just grasp coming out from Razork, but doesn't really catch on to anyone. Rift held down. There's the eye picked up by Razork. Uses the twisted advance to get away from the knockup. Glacial Prism being used as well. Missed time on the belly bot, but still enough from Fnatic to find a kill. And KOI maybe overextending a little bit here. They were contesting that 3v5.
Trymbi very confidently walks up to Fnatic and says, hey, Razork, if you want to get this eye, I'm going to punish you for it. But Razork says, you know what? No, I'm going to punish you. Humanoid TP's in from, well, the Tri-Brush and is able to land a lot of damage. Another kill goes into his back pocket and start to be a little bit more confident about this Fnatic squad right now. Only 900 gold down. Again, I think this is just a little overconfidence from Trymbi. He gets far too close, sidesteps the ultimate from the Maokai, but the main goal is to keep Malrang at bay. Does just that. The TP comes through, and then just before Razork gets knocked up, he roots Trymbi in place. Larssen can't really get into the fight because of a great ultimate from Wunder, keeping Malrang and Comp at bay. And Szygenda just isn't anywhere near, doesn't have the TP to really set up any kind of flank. And Fnatic, they don't greed. They don't go for more. They just take the kill, they take the Herald, and they walk away. Now they can leverage this to try and open up the mid tower and give them a little bit more control when setting it for the Drake, and ideally a little bit more vision into the enemy side jump.
Always important to try and set that up against something like a Ryze that can very quickly close in with the Realm Warp. And obviously as well, the astronauts, the little aliens that Razork chucks out, gives you some of that vision control as well. We saw Larssen being slowed by it in a couple of fights. Makes it harder for him to get in there. Fnatic playing well around the middle portion of this game. They were about 2,000, 2,500 gold behind, as you said, now down to only about a K. You can see Humanoid has about a 1.3 thousand gold lead in that mid lane already at 2 items as well. And Larssen has an item complete, but VoD of Ages, you know, you're waiting for it to stack up. We're still 7 minutes away from that clock. So Humanoid, a very powerful chess piece for Fnatic right now.
And I know that Humanoid, obviously, during the regular season, is often given a lot of flack for his performance, but I feel like whenever he goes up against Larssen, we get to see 2 of the best mids in the league go head-to-head. Definitely feels like the Humanoid feels very motivated, as Larssen really has been one of his long-term rivals. Careful, though, with Szygenda and Malrang looking for a pick.
Malrang gets the Glacial Prison off, and there's Trymbi with the chase as well. Humanoid did everything he could to dodge away from that, but even with Wunder's TP, it wasn't enough to save the Fnatic mid lane.
Unfortunately for Humanoid, didn't have flash. You can see he was playing pretty safe there. Wasn't trying to overextend or anything, playing as close to his tower as possible, but the moment the Malrang got in range, the Sejuani passive started applying, and then that set up Trymbi for the knockup, and there was nothing that Humanoid could really do. Ended up losing his life. KOI sent the gold lead once again, and now they're threatening a dive onto Wunder.
Wunder is pretty strong with the Everfrost, has the barrel as well, tries to clear out the wave, dodges away from the knockup. Malrang coming in as well. Wunder dodges back, flash forward by Malrang, looking for the stun, will get the 4th auto, and that's everything he needed. Comp takes the kill from long range.
Just these collapses from KOI continue to be good, and Fnatic is being picked apart. They find that pick on the Humanoid, they find another one to Wunder. He does what he can to disengage, but Comp from the long range ultimate, more than enough to secure that kill, and KOI once again firm control of the game. They're going to open up another tower. Fnatic looking to cross map. Meanwhile, going to have to draw our eyes back to these 2 AD carries. Of course, Comp considered the best performing AD carry from last split, in a great position. Hang on, KOI looking for a flank.
Have you seen this, Rhuckz? He's just going to back. Szygenda goes in on the TP. It was on a control ward, so Fnatic would have been able to see this. Rhuckz flashes over the wall. Szygenda looking for the chase. The arrow goes to absolute Narnia. Misses by a mile. Humanoid flashes away from the stun. Nature's Grasp coming in as well. Szygenda just out of the edge of the Nature's Grasp with the shutdown for Humanoid. His 2nd of the game. A 600-700 gold infusion. I think around that, maybe 500.
Bit of a comedy of errors there,
yeah.
I feel. You can see Rhuckz was in an awkward situation, but he wanted to help out his mid laner, so he flashes over the wall, ends up missing the arrow, pretty much a point-blank range. But then Szygenda thinks, oh, well, with the arrow gone and with my team right behind me, I could re-engage, but that was a mistake, because the second that you engage, Ashe then makes it impossible for you to disengage, meaning that Fnatic find themselves another pick. So really, over the last few minutes, all we've been seeing is both teams kind of trading picks across the map. Small errors from Fnatic, small errors from KOI. At the end of the day, it is KOI that continue to build up their lead. The dangerous part is that Humanoid now sits with 3 kills. Rekkles continues to farm with 2 items. Dragon spawns in about 2 minutes time, and Rekkles, you can see him taking away these jungle camps, doing what he can to funnel himself greater and greater resources. And they want to try and force KOI into these fights. They want to leverage their range to try and poke out KOI ahead of a fight, the great utility that they do have to set up the 5v5. I think that KOI need to kind of keep doing what they've been doing, finding these picks across the map, trying to play through side lanes a little bit more, finding advantages somewhere and then collapsing with a numbers advantage, rather than looking for this straight up front to back.
Trymbi still looking for those flank positions, spotted out on a ward there. The Farsight alteration finds its man. Obviously, Razork can put down the saplings as well, makes Trymbi's job actually really tricky. He can try and play around vision here, but he's spotted once again as he goes forward, gets a ward. Razork now on the chase, Trymbi trying to get away. Shirelli popped with only a minute on the 3rd Dragon of the game for Fnatic. They'll set up down towards that. Let's see where we are in terms of items. 2 items finished on Rekkles. Humanoid in the same position. Larssen still stacking up his Seraphs and his Rod of Ages. about 2 minutes away from that. Now Trymbi has snuck as sneakily as he can all the way around this top side, but I don't really think Fnatic want to play towards the top side of the map right now.
I like what KOI's doing here, though. They're kind of pincering and creating a collapse onto Fnatic, and this is what we like to see with the composition that they've drafted for themselves. Keep the push in bot, separate Fnatic out. Now Fnatic is forced to play defensive. They can't just brute force control of the mid lane, which then gives KOI access into the river.
Humanoid has no flash. Rekkles has flash and spell shield, so I don't think he's the target. You can see Malrang there was looking for something, but they were on a ward across the wall there. Malrang hit with one of the saplings, loses about 500 health just from a single one. Wunder now stepping forward as well. Szygenda trying to come in from the bottom side of it. Fnatic all grouped up in a single place.
But this is a great position for Fnatic. They can keep throwing out their poke, they can leverage their range. Ashe, Sivir, Jayce, really good at just consistently harassing, and then you also have the saplings along with the barrels. There's just a lot of little chip damage that consistently comes out for Fnatic. It slowly tears away at the HP bars of KOI. Comp catching that mid wave, going to be a little slow to clear that one out. It will be Fnatic, 5 members strong to start off the Dragon.
Trymbi still looking for the long flank here. Szygenda down to half HP. Nature's Grasp coming out. Trymbi can get on the backline here. The ammo's going to go down as well, but Szygenda's already so low. Comp opens up the curtains, but the quickness on the backline is too little. Too late for KOI. Wunder and Razork on the chase. Trymbi next on the menu. Larssen flashes away. And Fnatic buying 3. They TP to mid to save the tower, and they'll get the 3rd Dragon of the game.
And KOI was just far too split up. Fnatic used their Fnatic Death Ball comp, often synonymous with this team of old. It's just so straightforward and so easy to execute. You have the Sivir ultimate, the Maokai ultimate, the Ashe ultimate. You basically just press R and start the fight, and we're going to get a replay of exactly how they do it. They see comp in mid lane. There's no way for him to come anywhere near this fight. And so they're saying, what is KOI going to do to stop us? Yes, Trymbi is in a good flank position, but he's just used his W. The root comes down, the arrow comes down, the Sivir ultimate is there, the Gragas ultimate is there, the chain CC is relentless. And okay, now the engage comes through from Trymbi, but comp doesn't really offer much value on the backline. Larssen can't really follow up. And KOI can't afford to play these front-to-back comps. While Fnatic was playing for that Dragon, KOI should have been looking at what else they can play. Could they maybe trade it for a mid-tower? Can they maybe open up the map a little bit more? But Fnatic are firmly back into this game.
It's full Protoss A move, right? You put the time warps down, you chase them down, your Colossus are laser beaming everyone, you Stalker, blink forward.
Right now. Yeah.
There's like 3 StarCraft 2 fans who still exist in the world who got that reference.
Yeah, there they are. Yeah. They try to StarCraft chant in the shout, like, no.
We don't do that.
Stop that.
Don't do that.
But yeah, Fnatic have been able to bounce back in this game, and they're looking like they're in a great spot. Rekkles 1-0-6 right now, working towards that 3rd core item. We're starting to see some of the weaknesses of this KOI draft. They have moved Szygenda off to a side lane, and he's going to try and push that, but Fnatic grouping up as 5. They're going to commit to this tower. No, they're going to say not for now. They're actually looking to threaten a collapse onto Szygenda, and you're going to see this a lot from Fnatic. Their focus is going to be grouping up, staying as a 5, losing the TP here. Definitely not optimal for KOI. They really want to try and leverage their strength in a side lane. By losing the TP, it makes it that much harder to collapse on a flank, look for a pick. Hang on a second, maybe I spoke too soon.
Well, KOI immediately say, Humanoid's down towards the bottom lane, we had to burn a TP, he's catching the wave, he now has the TP. So at least we get TP for TP trade. I expect them to peel off it, but maybe they're going to stick. Sickle twists, Comp gets stunned, immediately cleanses away, Wunder stepping forward as well, they know it's down to 4,000 HP, Rekkles going in with the on the hunt, there's Nature's Grasp as well, Razork needs to get into the pit, it's taken by Razork! He gets in, he smites it away, and KOI pay for their folly! They thought they could sneak it, but they just can't get it quick enough.
Razork literally walked up, smoked it, walked away.
Nothing personal, good.
Oh my word, he made that look easy. He didn't even have his flash up. We're going to get a slow-mo from the observers, but look at this. Rekkles pops the ultimate, Razork does the same. Everything is thrown down onto Comp to try and make him as low as possible, but the focus is the Baron. The smite comes down from Malrang at, 120 HP. Razork walks in, and this is where the calls from Fnatic are. Ow, 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 ow. Let's not fight. Let's just disengage. Let's just walk away with our prize. And now Fnatic get gifted a Baron by KOI.
And now they're in a 3,000 gold lead, Vedi. Very much flipped the script from the early portion of this game. They're the ones collapsing with that Nature's Grasp. It's such a threat with the arrow as well. Szygenda tried to dash away, but it is knocked back into the waiting arms of Fnatic. Able to escape with his flash for the moment, but with the Baron buff, Fnatic are making a beeline for the top lane, looking for this inhibitor. Comp is still in the mid lane, trying to get what he can, trying to get some CS on this Jhin, but for the moment, Fnatic are in the driver's seat.
Fnatic's comp, we've said it before, I'll say it again, very straightforward.
KOI's comp.
No, I'm saying Fnatic's comp is just...
Oh, their composition.
Yeah, their
Okay.
composition.
Not their comp.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it. You're so annoying. Yeah.
There he is.
There's KOI comp, thank you, observers. Fnatic's comp is just group up as 5 and fight. Group up 5 and fight. And like they're consistently doing that, right? And now with the Baron buff, it's much harder for KOI to try and cross-map and trade, because with the Baron and with the poke, Fnatic are just going to tear through these towers so much quicker. Fnatic in a great position right now. You can see how the gold has shifted. Yeah, bit of a blunder overall from KOI. His team, they were so good at being able to generate these early leads, not necessarily through kills, but through map control, where they have prio. And they went for a composition that was more about trying to play through sides, looking for picks, and to their credit, they did find a number of picks. They were punishing Fnatic on a side lane, but for every pick they found, they then also made a mistake. And this kind of kept Fnatic relevant in the game. The gold gap never got big enough that KOI could just win these fights, and Fnatic leveraged their strength. So when this third dragon rolled around and they were able to find a 5v5, KOI ended up collapsing, and now Fnatic maintain control. They have control over the river, the soul is on the line, and I think Malrang's just going to do his best to see if he can find a steal.
Everyone's flashes, apart from Szygenda's, will be up for this fight. Stopwatch as well on Humanoid. Him getting the kills in the mid-game really is what propelled Fnatic back into a strong position here. Comp needs to be able to join his team again, but once again, he's by himself in that mid lane. Trymbi is snuck all the way around here, but there is a tiny little astronaut, a tiny little alien looking for them. Trymbi goes for the long way around. Now, Comp can open up with the curtain call, try and corral Fnatic into a bit of a precarious spot. Trymbi spotted by Rhuckz now, and that makes it a lot more tricky for him to get into this fight. Forced away, half his health gone with a shock blast. Dragon, though, can be started. Trymbi being chased away by his enemy support, and Fnatic now get back into the pit, get back into the river. Rekkles pops the ultimate as well as they look for that chase, but couldn't quite find too much. Malrang looking for the steal. Fnatic, though, continue on this dragon. It resets. TP comes out from Szygenda as Fnatic are looking to close this game out here. Curtain call comes in. Larssen looking with the realm off towards the backline, but Humanoid jumps on him immediately, knocks him away. Trymbi gets a good charm out, but KOI are too split up at the moment. Szygenda forced in, but he's forced out immediately. Rekkles takes one. He's looking for two. He's flashing forward. Make it 3 for Rekkles. Comp and Trymbi can only watch as their team is decimated, and Fnatic claim the Mountain Soul.
KOI tried to attack from every angle, but Fnatic stay strong. They will secure themselves the Mountain Soul. They will walk away as the victors of this fight, and Fnatic is looking to not go 0-3 on the week.
Fnatic faithful starting to cheer in the crowds. You feel. We'll have another look at this fight.
And keep your eyes on Larssen here, because he's the one that tries to create this flank for Trymbi, but then look, the ultimate from Wunder knocks Trymbi out, meaning that he doesn't have that access to the backline anymore. It's Larssen that's isolated. Humanoid then does a huge amount of damage, and then Trymbi goes for the engage into the 5-man room. There's really no follow-up. Szygenda then gets left isolated as Comp is trying to get a pick onto Humanoid, and basically the team fighting from KOI is just all over the place, while Fnatic is staying as a firm 4-man in that narrow choke point, making it very easy for Rekkles to dish out the damage and walk away with a triple kill.
Yeah, Fnatic doing such a good job of protecting Rekkles on that backline, protecting Humanoid when he needs it as well. Something we brought up in the draft was whether or not they could keep their squishy carries safe. Humanoid's in a position where he can keep himself safe in a lot of these fights, and now Rekkles 4-0-6 with 3 items complete is incredibly strong as well.
And we talked about it at the beginning of the game. Would there be enough AP damage? We haven't been keeping up, but look, Razork and Wunder both going for that full AP build that you talked about, Medic, and they do a fair amount of damage themselves. Great barrel.
Comp has to flash away, able to escape with the flash clench. Nature's Grasp going to chase them down, though. They'll all line up behind Malrang. A little bit of a conga there for KOI as they manage to dance their way to safety. Fnatic, though, can go towards mid. How long on the Baron? 30 seconds. Resets start to come out.
Waves are a little bit awkward here for Fnatic, but the end of the world, as you rightly said. Their main goal now, push through bot, push out mid, make sure that they can set up vision control around the top side. They may look for a reset so they can replenish the wards. As I say that, you see Rhuckz just got back to base, making sure that he has that vision at his disposal. Razork just going to chuck a couple saplings throughout the jungle, making sure that he has that extra bit of insight, extra bit of vision. Fnatic, though, very clearly setting up for this Baron. Humanoid might try and push out that wave in the top lane, decides against it. Doesn't want to be left isolated. You can see all this vision in the bot side. Fnatic now looking to translate that up to top as they recognize Baron becoming the core objective.
Larssen now does have 3 items on this Ryze, though. Frozen Heart complete for him. He's very far behind in terms of gold, but Ryze and Machine Gun, like, as a support in this situation, like, okay, I've got Merc Treads, that's kind of all I can do. Let's just build as much health as possible alongside this. Shirelli has Kindle Gem and a Ruby Crystal for him. Baron, I believe, has been started up here by Fnatic. KOI, you had one stolen away from you earlier on. Can you find some sort of avenue to approach this as Fnatic
stole the blue.
Back away from it. Blue stolen, as you say, by Humanoid. Malrang already half HP. Trymbi trying to get in. There's a control ward in the pit, and there's a ward where he's standing. Makes it very difficult for him to navigate this situation.
So Razork can just keep tanking the Baron while Fnatic continue to throw poke out. You can see what Wunder's doing. He's kind of keeping an eye on the flanks. They realize that the worst case scenario is for Trymbi to find access onto the back line, and then for the core carries of Rekkles and Humanoid to fall. Which means that all Fnatic is doing right now, they're using Razork as the shield, Wunder as the flank protector, and again, he's trying to keep his eyes on where Trymbi is. Credit to Trymbi, constantly looking for the flanks. And again, look at these saplings here. They're constantly aware of what Trymbi is trying to do.
Trymbi has no flash, so it's a quickness jump into the pit and hope there's someone standing by the wall if you go in like that. Baron, though, taken now for Fnatic. Objective bounties available for KOI in a couple of seconds' time. But Fnatic now with the Baron, you have to expect will start to close this one out. Can go for a 1-4. Humanoid can side lane a little bit. There's always the threat of Larssen realm warping in his teammates and catching someone out. So perhaps Fnatic might just invest everyone towards that singular lane and make sure that they can barrel down probably mid lane in this situation.
KOI's main win condition now is being able to steal away this Elder. And I think Fnatic obviously want to try and end the game before that point. See them right now pushing out top and mid. A 4-1 setup makes sense. You want to try and play through two lanes. You can get the push in mid, then you kind of move through the top side jungle, join up with the top laner. Ultimate onto Kong.
Jayce comes in. Humanoid's damage is absurd. The Gale Force away by Comp will keep him alive, but the tower will not survive for long as Fnatic take their fifth of the game. Now they move 3 members up towards this top stage to join Gragas, to join Wunder. And there's no tower here, but Fnatic can push in with this cannon wave, and Wunder has TP, so he'll go back, replenish his mana. I wonder if he'll have a full Zhonya's. Nope, still just sitting on the stopwatch and Amptome. Oh, there we are. Full Zhonya's complete for him. They're not really synced waves here for Fnatic, though, so they don't really have 2 pressure points. KOI able just to invest all of their resources into defending this one lane.
But the problem is that KOI's range is relatively short, which means that hitting this cannon is very difficult. So with 2 cannons now, they are going to chip away. And KOI can't really do much to stop it. The siege continues. Fnatic leveraging their range to break apart the base. They will secure the top tower now. They rotate to mid.
Larssen's gonna die. Like, he's just getting saplings all over the place, man. People who talk about, like, oh, do you want to meet aliens? You know, they're probably extraterrestrial life in the world. Larssen doesn't. Like, he just doesn't want to see any more aliens for the rest of this game. Just keeps getting chunked out. That's just from saplings, I believe, the damage that he's taken there as he walked through the jungle. We'll try and push out bot. They kind of sacrifice that top lane for...
Yeah, Maokai's a poke champ.
Yeah, he is.
I didn't know this, but he is. Yep. Hang on, look at the damage there from Humanoid. He has his eyes on Comp.
No Gale Force for Comp right now. Fnatic might just be looking for the mid lane as well. Comp forced away, the rest of KOI forced away as well. The arrow dodged by Comp was on the right line if he'd taken the wrong route back towards his base, but Fnatic should be able to get the second inhibitor of the game. Now, Trymbi has gone a very long way round here. It's spotted on a ward, on a sapling, and almost takes a chunk from that accelerated shock blast. KOI, you feel the desperation, you feel the moment of we have to go, we have to go, we have to go, and Szygenda is the first to call it in. Realmwalk trying to get on the back line as well, but already Nature's Guards comes out, Szygenda's down, Malrang second, and they're just bopped! Absolutely demolished in the mid lane! KOI just fed themselves into the meat grinder that is Fnatic, and with a triple to top it off for Humanoid, Fnatic looking for their first win of 2023.
A dominant and much needed win for Fnatic as they roll over KOI, and as you rightly said, Medic, will secure their first win of Winter.
Comp's still able to survive at the end, but great performance from Fnatic. After falling behind in the early game, you felt perhaps it was just going to be a repeat of yesterday, but they bounced back, fought hard, and found exactly what they needed to get back into that match.
Like, after that initial play from KOI where they killed 2 around the Raptors on the top side, like, I could feel the morale just kind of drop from Fnatic, you know, especially after 2 very difficult days, a game where you should have won against Vitality and then you fell short, a game where you get absolutely stomped from G2, losing to KOI as well, while no easy opponent. You really want that win to kind of keep that morale high and believe that you can contend with the top. But the fact that they were able to kind of collect themselves, realize what their win conditions were, and then basically just play as a 5-man, continue to force team fights, stay as a 5v5, and they were able to execute those fights perfectly. Remember that Wunder was completely shut down, 0-4, 2 levels down after laning phase, yet he still was able to land some incredible barrels in those team fights and really set up his team for success. So huge props to Fnatic, a big win for them, and a much needed one as we move closer to week 2 of the LEC.
It just made it so hard for KOI to ever really find the fight that they wanted in those situations. Trymbi was always spotted on vision. He was taking a route through Mordor, through Helm's Deep, through Minas Tirith. Like, he was going all around the map to try and get into the fights and never was able to get there with his whole health bar still intact. KOI's early game continues to impress though. Trymbi moving around the map in the early game really set them up for success. They pushed Wunder very far down in lane, but it just wasn't enough for KOI, so they do not go undefeated. It means we'll only have 2 undefeated teams at the end of week 1, G2 plus whoever wins our final game of the day.
That's definitely true, of course. Before we get to that game, we do need to decide our player of the game. You can vote at LEC on Twitter, Razork, Humanoid, or Rekkles. All, of course, very good options. And big shout out to Wunder, of course, for being able to bounce back and still offer value in that game, even though he was shut down so aggressively in the early game. KOI, though, I still consider them an incredibly strong team.
Oh, 100%.
I think there are going to be some question marks in terms of how they were able to execute their composition with the lead that they did have. I think on paper, you would expect them to win, but this is kind of where I turn my attention to Razork. His objective focus, creating that Drake win condition, getting to 2, forcing KOI into fighting that 3rd one.
Stealing the Baron as well.
Yeah, exactly, right. The Baron steal too. I completely forgot about that. Razork really did come up clutch in this game, and huge credit definitely needs to be given to him.
Definitely. I will say we've had quite a few Baron steals in the LEC so far.
True, yeah. Barons kind of suck in Europe.
Objective control, guys. Let's be a little bit better at how we set up around these situations. But yeah, great play all round by Fnatic as well. You have to remember, like, their schedule this week was probably the hardest schedule of any team to play Vitality, G2, and KOI in your first week. So pick up a win there. Very strong. Puts them up in, the top 4, top 5 perhaps at the end of the split. We'll see how they can continue this run of form, or this single game of form going into next week.
And of course, we do have another banger game coming up next. It will be Mad versus Vitality. You rightly said both 2-0 teams. One of them has to lose. One of them will go undefeated and join G2 at the top of the table. So we're about ready for the interview, getting closer and closer to it. But again, congratulations to Fnatic. Big win for them. And I'm sure KOI will look to bounce back very soon as we get closer and closer to week 2.
A big morale boost for Fnatic as well. Going 0-3 in your first week when you only have 6 more games to play, possibly, is not the best. So being able to pick up a win here is big. We are ready for Laure, who's standing by with Razork. Take it away.
Thank you, guys. Razork, thank you also for joining me. Congrats on winning your first game of the Winter Split. You're in contention for player of the game here, and they were just talking about the impact you had here this game. Talk me through your role, communication within Fnatic, and why should Twitter vote for you?
Well, I don't know if I deserve the MVP. I think, honestly, playing Maokai is not too hard. You just need to, be 1 minute before Drake or any objective. Spam your E in any boost and spot the Rakan that's trying to flank. I think our combo's actually pretty good. I think Wunder actually played pretty good, even though he was really behind. I think he actually managed to help the team. And yeah, actually, probably he's not even in the votes, but I will give it to Wunder.
All right, teammate. After all, let's talk about the week for Fnatic. It hasn't been the easiest one, so I want to know what was happening before the split started, and does it match the expectations you had coming into the splits?
Well, I mean, I think we have had a rough weekend. I think the first game against Vitality, it was in our hands. We actually threw them, and it felt really bad. The game against G2, I feel it was completely unplayable. We trolled, and then it was really hard to play the game. But actually, with a win against KOI right now, it kind of relieves us a little bit. We go 1-2, and looking forward to play the next week.
When you look at the schedule, you had Vitality, KOI just now, and G2. Not the easiest one, but again, if you aim to be one of the best teams, if not the best team in Europe, you have to beat these teams. What does it say about Fnatic as of now, when you think of the first 2 games, but the fact that you managed to beat KOI this time around?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, on paper, it should be easier against other teams. I think Vitality, G2, and KOI, they are probably one of the best teams, the best 3 teams in the LEC right now, top tier. And I think I'm looking forward to actually keep playing with this roster, improving, because right now I feel like we are not really on the same page, and it's like it takes time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You kept most of the team replacing the bot lane. Tell me about playing with Rekkles and Rhuckz. Specifically, you met him at Worlds, you got to play with him. He's waiting on the other side of the studio with Sjokz. So tell me about playing with him and the bot lane as a whole.
With Rhuckz?
Yeah?
Well, I think he's like really vocal in game, and he brings like a lot of confidence. Kinda, he's like a rookie, but he's like 30 years old. This is really old, this guy. But I don't know. I think it feels great to play with him, but I think he's not really comfortable on this meta. I think he likes to play more like the Braum, the Rakan, and you can see him shine really much with it. But if you give him a Yuumi, like we did yesterday, it's really hard to see him like doing a lot of stuff, right?
We don't like the Yuumi anyway. But Razork, thank you so much for the interview. Congrats on turning this week around. I wish you the best of luck with Fnatic for the next week. And Sjokz, back to you on the other side of the studio.
Thank you so much. He's not 30, he's 26, Rhuckz. I just went to check. But yeah, you just heard it there from Razork. He's really excited about playing with you, and you probably agree, Yuumi, not something you want to do?
Yeah, we don't like the cat.
You don't like the cat?
No.
Do you like cats in general, or?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, all right, cool. Let's take a look at the picks and bans. There's no cats or dogs, actually, in that one. It seemed unbeatable, your draft at a certain point in the game, even though maybe it wasn't like that from the start. And to us, it was kind of a surprise because, you know, Humanoid did not play Jayce before, etc. What, from your perspective, were the most important picks in this draft?
I think the Ashe Maokai together are really good, and I think Jayce is a decent pick into Ryze as well. So I think when these three champs go together and we have tempo and we go first into the river, like we start put the saplings, Ashe W comes in with mandate, and Marek just has to get the combo in, and one guy is out of the fight always.
Yeah, we saw it.
And I think like the Jayce picks make sense. It's sort of like an older pick that I remember Humanoid playing in Ryze many times before in the past. But then the Sivir comes in at the end. That's also a classic Rekkles pick. Is that something he was calling for at the end? Because obviously it's another go button for you guys to find.
Yeah, I think in the end, like it's up to Martin to Rekkles to choose what he wants to play, and he said like I think Jhin works perfectly well here. We have like really good like speed comp, like just poke, and my ulti can just disengage if they go into us. So it was really good pick for lane as well. We had just free lane. He was just farming, and then when he gets his items as Sivir, it's GG.
One thing I wanted to ask if there was maybe a conversation about this in draft, because when you lock in the AD mid laner of the Jayce, obviously you have Maokai and Gragas on the top side. I think previously Wunder's been playing more tanky Gragas builds, but goes heavy AP. The Maokai build is also the demonic, fairly heavy AP build too. Was that a decision you made because of the AD mid and AD bot side?
I think you don't necessarily need AP top to play this comp. I think Maokai with the full AP build, if you go like the Liandry's and like the demonic build, you can play solo AP Maokai, because I think his saplings just do all the damage. So I don't think you need an AP top. But Jax was really good. Gragas was really good this game against Jax. So we have 2 APs, 3 ADs, and that's perfectly fine.
Okay, yeah, it looked like it indeed. You wanted to talk about the Drake specifically? You want to set that up for us?
Yeah, basically the 2 fights around Drake that really went your guys' ways. Obviously, you were able to start stacking them early on, so KOI had to try and fight you there. But you were able to sort of find these engagements, and the Jhin on the enemy side is just not with the team. And again, because of all these insane engage options you have, you're able to find this great fight.
Yeah, I think the moment we saw Jhin on the mid wave and Jax already used his E, I think it's just go time. Sivir just pops ult, I just arrow Maokai ult, and we just go forward, and we don't care about like this Jhin ult, like it's completely useless, so we just go forward, and it's our comp. Like the moment we hit 1 CC and someone dies, everyone is dead.
Yeah, it seemed like it's just like so straightforward, and then it happens again. So is this like literally the second you see Jhin separated from team, it's go, go, go?
Yeah, we play slow, we play with the saplings, and then they are low HP, so the moment someone needs to base or just dies, then it's like really fast fight. We just go forward. Gragas is really good as well. Sivir ulti helps. So we just play it between 2 sides. First very slow and then really fast.
Yeah, it seems like it was a problem of KOI's trying to find these sort of wrapping down underneath Tribrush to approach the Drake, as opposed to maybe fighting through mid lane themselves, because they have Jhin there to try and catch the wave, make sure you guys can't sprint it down, but it puts them in a really tough position, I feel like, for the actual team fight.
Yeah, I think if we are first in river, they can never walk in. And I think when you are playing Sejuani and you are not even able to walk into the river, that's a big problem, because Sejuani just wants to go in, and usually she can walk in. So I think it was very hard for them to walk. And I think our comp is just very good at this, as long as we are ahead in tempo.
Yeah, it looked very comfortable, I would say, from all of those fights, and of course a well-needed win. If we take a step back and look at you and now entering into the LEC, it's kind of crazy how everything gone. Of course, you have a lot of experience already, but this is kind of such a step up, right, into the LEC, and then with Rekkles as your partner. How would you look back on your first weekend overall in the LEC?
It has been very different from what I'm used to, but I think the Worlds experience helped me a lot. I think I was very nervous at Worlds because I was not even playing solo queue. I was on vacation, literally on the beach. So I went without any solo queue in, I think, 9 days because I've been there. So I played, I think, 3 games of solo queue and scrims with Bin, not even with Upset because he was not there yet. And I was very nervous. And I think the fact that I gained so much confidence there and I could show that I could do some things. Now, this week, I thought I was going to be very nervous, but it actually didn't happen. I was very, very chill, I would say. So, and playing with Rekkles also helps because I know I have someone with a lot of experience by my side and I don't need to worry about him. Like, he's just going to do his thing and he's going to do it well.
Yeah.
I do have a follow-up question on the Worlds topic. What's easier, Worlds or the LEC? Because they couldn't even kill you at Worlds.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I wouldn't say Worlds is harder because I think LEC in this case is much harder. I think the teams that we played this week especially, they are really good teams.
Yeah.
And at Worlds, I mean, it was the play-in. I don't want to, of course, say that the teams were bad because they were not. If they are there, it's because they won something in their region, right? But I think LEC is harder. And I think this week especially, it's much harder.
I believe we also have a voice comm from the Baron Steel, which I already forgot about. It's been a long day, sorry. So I'd love to listen because I'd love to get some insight into the comms.
Be careful.
We should set up Nas, but
Sjokz TP.
they're doing it, they're doing it.
I have TP.
It's a one-shot, by the way.
It's 10k, it's 10k. It's fine, it's fine.
Can you look to arrow
Where's
the
Rakan? We need to find
AD
Rakan.
damage? They will finish it, they will finish it.
Rakan is above us, above us.
Go.
Oh, Jhin no cleanse, Jhin no cleanse.
I'm ulting now.
Yeah.
Play for fight, play for fight.
Yeah. Ryze, no flash, keep in mind.
Got it. I heal you.
Play slow, back up.
Back. I'm trying to get out. Get out.
If they overcommit, we fight, otherwise don't fight, I think.
I'm out.
Nice,
good job. I miss.
I'm doing
I don't have TP, okay, TP 45, I'll just go top.
I heard a lot, and I think I only heard the loudest person, which is why I could figure out, like, obviously what Razork was going to do. To me, it sounded a little bit messy. I don't know how you experienced it now that you're listening back to it.
He wanted me to arrow the AD damage, as far as I understood as well.
That was it, yeah?
I arrowed Jhin, and he just cleansed, so my job was done there, I feel like.
Well, actually, real question. Your support Ashe, after you use arrow, what do you do in a team fight?
You sit back and press W. You don't even auto-attack. You just W, into W, into W. Don't auto-attack, because just in case you get out of position, might as well just use W.
I feel like
No risks.
It's getting into the same category as Yuumi in that regard, right? Yeah,
you
for
could
sure.
say that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
You have 2 keys, arrow and W. That's it.
Love it.
E, you use it when it's up. You just close your eyes and throw it somewhere. And then, oh, they're not there. Oh, they are there. That's fine. And then you don't use Q.
Oh, lovely.
I love it.
Something that I would be interested in is when you come into this environment, right? And in terms of stepping into this team, as said, you have a lot of experience, but it's different than, you know, having played in the LEC for 7 years or something like that. And there's so many names on that roster who have done exactly that, who have had great success. How does it work from your perspective, like coming into this group when it comes to like feedback, when it comes to giving each other maybe criticism about the game, and how do you fit into all of that?
In the beginning, I was a bit, I would say I stood back and just watched a bit what my team knows, because they are, I mean, they are more experienced than me, right? So I wanted to see how they see the game, how they do things. And I think now, with time, I'm starting to fit in more in the team and do my role, which I was used to, like being kind of a leader in my old teams. So now I'm slowly stepping into that role, but still there is more people here that also have that profile. And I just want to do my best and help the team and just be vocal as well.
Okay, awesome. We're super excited to have you in the league. Obrigada.
Obrigado.
We're going to head over to a quick break, but when we come back, it is an absolute banger. We've had to wait for it for a bit, but it's going to be great. Mad Lions up versus Vitality. We'll be right back.